What's up, everybody? Keith Mitchell here, and today I'm going to take a couple minutes out and talk about Geforce Now, which I think is a fantastic cloud game streaming service. Now, I've actually played with Geforce Now over the years, here and there, on my laptop, on my Surface Pro, on my phone, just to get an understanding of the technology. And I think as of last week, when they put this out for public consumption, this service has come a very long way. Now, I've been answering questions on the internet, various Twitter, various Reddit posts, and I figured why not put a video together to just put some of the main questions that I've heard and answered into one place so people can get an answer. All right, folks? So if I missed a question or you have a question and you don't want to try it out for yourself, go ahead and leave a question in the comments below, and I will get back to you if I see it. All right? So the very first question, the one I've seen the most, is how does this compare to other cloud streaming services such as Google Stadia? Now, it really seems like everybody's aiming to put Google Stadia down for the count. It didn't come out with a good reception. It's missing a lot of features. The free tier isn't out, and everybody seems to want to make fun of Google Stadia. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, it kills Stadia. Now, I've had Google Stadia for about a month. I sent it back because I was not impressed with the overall package. I was impressed with the technology, just not with the presentation, and I wasn't impressed with Google's track record. As far as comparisons with Google Stadia, I feel that it actually kills it. It really kills it, only because of the feature set and the amount of games that you can get. Now, right now, there is over 500 games you can play on Geforce Now. Some are optimized, some aren't optimized, but there are a lot of big games, like most of the Call of Duty games, Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth is on there, Destiny 2 is on there. There's a ton of games, and most of these games, all these games, are games that you already own, either from Blizzard, or for Battle.net, or from Steam, or from the Epic Games Store. Every game that you own, a majority of them will be available to play on Geforce Now. It's a selection. If you go to the Geforce Now website and search for your game, if you type it up and it comes up, it's playable. Now, there is a list I found on the internet, which I'll post in the comments, or the description below, that shows you which games are available for Geforce Now. So definitely check that out. Another question I've been asked is, what devices can use Geforce Now? And I'm guessing this goes back to the whole Stadia tobacco. Now, this is fascinating because you can use a laptop, you can use a PC, you can use Nvidia Shield TV devices, you can use Android phones as long as it supports Android 6 and above, and you can use Mac OS, which means you can play this on an underpowered laptop, an underpowered PC, on your phone, wirelessly. You don't need to tether it with a USB cable, and you can take it anywhere you want to go and play the games, majority of the games that you own, without paying for other games. I gotta tell you, when I was playing Destiny 2 on my Surface Pro 6, which is an Intel integrated GPU, and I could play a game at 1080p at 60 frames per second, that brought a smile to my face, because I now have the ultimate mobile device configuration where I just plug an Xbox One controller into my Surface Pro 6. I connect to Geforce Now, and that's it. I'm not stuck in my office. I'm not stuck in my living room. I can take it outside my car because my phone has more than enough bandwidth to tether to the Surface Pro 6 to play Geforce Now. It's amazing. The latency isn't very noticeable depending if you have a good connection. If you have a weaker connection, it does get noticeable then, but even still, it's still leaps and bounds better than what you see with Google Stadia. So I came away very, very impressed. Why is there a free and a paid tier? Okay, so this comes down to the explanation of what the actual service is. So you're renting a virtual desktop. You're renting a virtual PC. So the free tier is basically, the free and paid tiers are basically for people to enjoy what they want, but also not bog down the resources. So if you're using a free tier, you're not paying Nvidia anything. They're providing to you a service for free. And so you're leasing that space. So for an hour's worth of game time, they're going to kick you off and see if you're actually playing. A good example would be you played for 20 minutes, you walked away, you're doing something else, but that session is still there. So after an hour, it kicks you off, makes room for somebody else, frees up the resources, and makes sure that somebody else can jump on and play. Same thing with the 6-hour the paid tier, which is $5 right now. It will go up in the future. Basically, you're paying for 6-hour sessions at a time, so you can have another 6-hour in the morning, 6 hours in the afternoon, whenever. It's 6 hours after 6 hours. There's no waiting period. So you could be doing the very same thing. You'd be playing the game for 2 hours, decide you're tired, you walk away, you forget to log out, and that's it. Typically, you would keep the resources going, so you could be on that game for 20 hours, and there is no AFK, no timeout period. So what they did is they instituted a 6-hour period. So after 6 hours, it kicks you off, and if you're still playing, you log back in. If you're not playing, well, the resources are freed up for somebody else. That's why there is a free hour limit and a paid 6-hour limit. All right, so that should make a lot more sense to people now that it's been explained. And I wish Nvidia would explain that a lot better to other people. People aren't understanding why they're being forcibly kicked out of a game in the middle of a game, which does stink. Trust me, I understand it. I've been there. I'm 43 years old. I played every console up from the Nintendo Entertainment System up, and I know what happens when you're in the middle of a game and the console suddenly stops or the game crashes and you lose all your progress. Trust me, I've been there. What is the maximum resolution of GeForce Now? Well, this is up to 1080p 60 frames per second. It does not support 4K. That is the one thing that Stadia has over it, but even still, Stadia's 4K isn't really that impressive. What is impressive here is, even though you're given a 1080p 60 frames per second limit, which you can adjust actually, you still can tweak the graphical fidelity options within a game. So you could take the 1080p 60 frames per second setting and GeForce Now, go into the game, drop it down to like 720, and change all the other visual graphical options, which is really cool. But at the same time, it's also bad because if you go in there and you change everything to ultra and you don't have the bandwidth and the game just chugs like crap, and then you have a negative opinion of GeForce Now. So I wouldn't do that unless you have a good understanding of how that's going to impact your gaming. Plus, not all the data centers across the country or across the globe have the new GeForce Now RTX Blade servers. They're slowly moving them out, but I've connected to some virtual desktops where it still has the older generation Blade servers and using the older generation GPU. So keep that in mind. It is 1080p 60 frames per second, but you can change the settings within a game. All right. And the last question I've seen this come up a lot is, how many games are currently available for GeForce Now? Well, we talked about that earlier. There are over 500 supported games right now. Some of those games are not fully optimized. Some of those games really are, and they're adding games every so often. Again, these are games that come out of your local library, out of your GeForce Now, your Uplay, your BattleNet, and your Epic Games Store. So you're going to have to see which games you already own are playable. And as I mentioned, I will put a list in the description that tells you how many games are playable and where you can actually see this list. Because there's a lot of games compared to Google Stadia, and I'm going to keep beating that dead horse because I really do think that service has a lot of potential, but it is dead on arrival. All right, so definitely check out that list to see what games you have and play. And honestly, if you haven't tried out GeForce Now, do it. Just check it out for yourself. An hour session. You're not losing any money over that. All you're using is your time. Make sure you have a good connection. Make sure you have an Xbox One controller if you're playing a game that requires a controller. And just give it a try for yourself, all right? Seriously, definitely give that a try. All right, guys, again, this has been Keith Mitchell from the Outerhaven. This has been the top 5 questions I've heard about GeForce Now, and I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't, again, please leave a comment below. If you liked the video, please hit the notification and subscription buttons because it'll help a small channel like us grow. And that's it. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.